I'm going to go ahead and record it. All right, so at the top, here are the items that we are going to be working on this month. You can take a look at that. I will send this out right after the meeting. And then that brings us into the discussion items. Number one is just a placeholder for that checklist app that we were discussing building. Again, we're still building the on-site piece at this point. So once that's done, we will get into this part right here. Number two, we had the suggestion to send an email to EHSs that whenever a new establishment is created, they will be notified. So we went ahead and discussed that and created a work item for that so that and that's actually currently in this release. So at the end of this month, that should be available. The next one, that was the SLAT piece that we were going to add to the QA module. We've discussed this back and forth with lots of different people, and including people at the state, and there does not seem to be any timetable on when any of this stuff will be finalized as far as what we're supposed to be adding to this. So after talking with some other people in Durham and other places, we're going to go ahead and just remove this from the agenda until the state figures out what they want to do, or we can get some definitive answers on our end on how this is going to work in with what we currently have. So if anyone has any information on this from the state, let me know. If not, I'll be removing it. Number 4, canned comments broken out or updated. Tracy, I believe this is the one that you sent me the spreadsheet, and then you and I were back and forth. Let me see if she's on the call. She's not. She sent me a spreadsheet that you guys, I guess, apparently in a subgroup, updated all these predefined comments. So I was going back and forth with her last week. There apparently was a few other comments that she wanted to change, and we played phone tag, basically. So that is in progress. It is something that we're trying to push out by the end of this release, but I just need to get back in touch with her.
I'd love to have a copy of the agenda.
Yep. Stacy, you're talking about the comments?
Yeah, I asked Tracy on the last call if I could take a look at those just to see what she had, if it was something we wanted to use. I think the comments that she had, and I didn't get anything. If you could just, I don't think I ever got that. If I did, it got lost.
All right, I'll send this out to everybody.
But if you send that out, this thing, take a look. That'd be great. I'll let Vera look it over.
Yep, I'll send it out right after this.
Great.
Send comments. Now, just to reiterate, there were the ones that are on here. She had, updated, but she also told me that there was a few that were not on here. So, she was going to get with me, and we were going to go over that. All right. The next one, item number 5 here, this was the ability to toggle from one form or another in the My Apps. Basically, the example was, looking at the history form to the inspection form. We reached out to our partner company. They were looking into it the last time that this was brought up. Talking with our lead developer for this, I spoke with him last week, and he basically said there's no updates on this. They are aware of this and potentially may have this in a newer version whenever they release that. And my understanding is they do quarterly version releases, so that may be at the end of March. We will see. All right. Item number 6, the QA module. We do have this work item in progress. It is slated to be released at the end of this month. I know that we had some other pieces added to this in between, but I think we have a good handle on it right now. There was some pieces that we added for local establishment types, the grading, and some verbiage changes that were on the violations themselves, or I don't know if violation is the right word to use, but a lot of violation or a lot of verbiage changes. So that should be released at the end of this month. The next one is report 24. Cheryl, are you on the phone? Yes, you are. So this was something that we created a work item for and we plan on having it ready by the end of March, if that's okay. All right. Next one, item number 8. Splitting out the first and last name on the regulatory name in the My Apps. We do have this. It is currently in development, and it is scheduled to be released at the end of this month on February 28th. The next one, this had to do with permitting the pools, and the last change control meeting we brought this up, and pretty much everyone thought that we had it correct, that there was no change. So we're going to take this off the agenda and not have any action items towards this. And give me a second. Let's see here. James, I just got your email. Looks like I forgot to send you guys the agenda. My bad. I will push that out to you guys right after this. There's only 2 more topics of discussion. Number 10, report 47 is still not a static number. Basically, my understanding of this one, or our understanding of this one, is this is when you can change the risk category. And when you pull the actual risk category, or if you pull that report, depending on the time of year, it would change automatically. Mark, are you on the call, or anyone from Durham County? I don't see anyone that I recognize. But I believe our Crystal developer and Mark were actually talking together to see what to do about this. I have seen some email communications between that. I'm just not sure where we've left off. So that will stay on the agenda until I can see how we're going to proceed with this one. The last one, item number 11, this is a new one. Someone emailed this to me. I don't remember where I got it from, but they wanted it on this agenda. Auto-generating of establishment numbers. Do other counties want to see this feature? So I'm looking for feedback on this if you guys have any.
Trevor, this is Tony. I'm sorry, Stacy. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say, I would just question how that would work. Is I've got staff out and you're both generating numbers the same day. And you're using mobile in the field and generating permits. How would there be any conflict when you got multiple people issuing stuff on the same day? That would be one of my questions.
John, are you
Trevor,
on the... Oh, go ahead, Tony.
I'm sorry, Trevor. This is Tony over at Mecklenburg. So yeah, that might have came from Stephen Graham over here. And one of the reasons we wanted to approach this issue again is because CDP is aware we are running out of the 4-digit establishment numbers here at Mecklenburg. We have maybe a couple hundred left. And so we were going to be rolling over into that 5th digit, into that 10,000 number. And well, to make a long story short, it's been a little bit of of a scenario for us with regard to our nightly backups that we use for our business intelligence reports and things of that nature. And despite the instructions that have been issued out from both CDP and management here at the county, that fifth number is being accidentally introduced into the permit number. Right now, the mobile app does have a statement in red that says use only the 4 digits until you need to use that fifth digit. And so because of staff, I mean, our staff are running so fiercely right now. We're as every other county is understaffed, and so our folks are just out there killing it. They're doing a fantastic job, but they're flying, and so these things kind of happen. And so one of the reasons that we wanted to look at this again is to try to eliminate that era of having the extra digit introduced into the permit number.
Tony, did we? Don't actually. Let me take that back. John, did we only do that? Make that change for Mecklenburg, or did we push that out for everybody? As far as the 5 digits,
I think it's only in for Mecklenburg right now.
Okay, so
Trevor.
yes.
This is Portia from Cumberland County. It recently came up again because Shelly and I were discussing. We're trying to move from out of our old outdated local system into CDP because of update with Microsoft 10. Our old system is no longer operating. So in order for us to generate numbers, we need a system. So we came to CDP to ask them, could they generate numbers, start generating numbers for us, as well as bring our county establishments over to CDP. And that was our same question, like if we're out in the field in mobile trying to generate a number, how would that situation go? Like if I'm putting in a permit and somebody else putting in a permit, who does the number go to first, or does whoever uploads first, is that person who's going to be assigned that number? So we just had a meeting, and that's what we discussed. So that's why it came up, because Cumberland County and Shelby we've been talking back and forth because our local system is outdated. So we're trying to come up with something new, and since we're on CDP was our only other option.
Right. So yes, to me it sounds like it would be first come first serve for the next number once you hit the finish on mobile. John, did we do that somewhere in Illinois? I thought we did, or at least for on-site for someone for properties.
Not that I recall, Trevor, but my question would be, when you're permitting a facility out in the field, do you need? I'm assuming that you do print something or email something to the user while you're out there. Is that correct? To the owner of the establishment?
Correct.
Okay, so does that have to have that establishment number, that state ID? Does it have to have it on there already? Because here's the issue, and it's what Stacy brought up initially. It was exactly the problem. So if we have people back in the office assigning numbers and out in mobile, when you're using mobile, you may not have access. You may not have Wi-Fi service. So at that point, you can't get what the next number is. So we would either have to have that number not be assigned until the form was finished. But in that case, you're not going to be able to leave a copy of that with the owner while you're out there. They would have to get it later. And then, or two, we would have to require that you had some type of Wi-Fi or cell signal that you would be able to go and contact the server, get the number before it finishes. So, I mean, there's ways we could prevent the numbers, but it's going to be an issue when you're out somewhere where you don't have access. You don't have any, you wouldn't be able to finish the form, or not necessarily have to finish the form first, or like I said, go and get the number. because it'll have to be housed in one spot. We can't give like, okay, here's the next number for mobile, and then somebody back in the office, here's the next number for you guys. So it's got to be one continuous number, and that would be maintained back at the server on CDP.
And Trevor, that would be fine for Cumberland, because that's how we do it now. We don't finish the form out in the field when we write a permit. We have to go back to our office and use our old system, the one that's outdated, to generate a number. So we're trying to say, if we go back to the office, is there a way that CDP can now generate the numbers for us?
Okay. My question to pretty much everybody on the phone, is it required?
Hey, Trevor, hang out. Trevor, hang on 1 second.
Sure.
On that point, though, is that only specific for those local establishment types you're looking to add? What about the just the restaurants and stuff, the ones that are sent to bets?
No, it'll be for all our establishments that we have to create a number for.
Okay.
Okay, so this was my question I was going to ask. Is it required by the state or local ordinance or something like that if you're going to issue a permit out in the field, do you have to hand it to them specifically out in the field, or can you email it? Is it different than inspections or the same as inspections?
Well, I still hand them a permit anyway, because all they need is they don't need the number generated. They just need a permit to hang until, I come back to do an inspection. So the public asks them. But no, I would just need a number generated back at the office, because our old system is outdated and we won't have a way of it generating an ID number.
So then that sounds doable then, right, John? If they just
for Cumberland, yeah.
Yeah, for Cumberland. So for everyone else, does that work?
Still thinking on this one, Trevor.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I mean, I can see where it would work.
I mean, and it all again depends on how you're doing business. Are you creating the establishment in IMS? Do you have a plan review? All the demographic information already stored in a plan review file in CDP, and you're going to change that over to create an establishment number there in IMS, or whether you're just going straight from a mobile form and issuing a permit. Because if you're sitting out issuing a permit in mobile, you're going to say, okay, well, what's my number? Normally, we're going to go in and we're going to get that number before we leave the office to be able to populate that form.
Right.
So it's just going and seeing what's my number, what's the next number, and and hoping when you make that visit that everything's good and you're actually going to issue it that day, or you may get there and something's wrong and you don't issue it that day. Not sure about an easy solution there.
Well, I don't need a number when I issue the permit out in the field, because I'm going to go back in 2 weeks and have that number already populated when I do the inspection, or when you go back and do the inspection after the initial permitting. So as long as I can generate the number at some point to be able to put it in the system to upload to beds, then it'll be okay the way that Trevor said. It shouldn't be an issue if I don't have it for mobile, as long as I can put it in, generated from IMS when I'm back into the office.
Right. One thing I'm thinking about is transitional permits. You get there and ownerships change when you get there, but everything's good and meets the rules, and you want to issue a transition.
Hey, Trevor, this is Tony again. Hey, so we're thinking over here a couple things. Number one, can it be implemented county by county? That's the first question. The second question is it's more of a scenario where we're thinking, and we're going to have to talk about this amongst ourselves, but thinking about for us, an internet connection, hotspot connection is 99% of the time we're up and connected to the internet. So in that scenario where we're not, maybe we can place a phone call back to the office assistants and have them pull the number for us out of my IMS. But But again, that would be a business practice issue, and we'll have to talk amongst ourselves on how the business process might need to be modified, or if we want to do this all together. But I guess a more important thing would be, can it be implemented county by county?
Yeah, that's what we would prefer. Looking in the chat, box, I see James and Meg. They both have, Meg wants to do it, issue her own, look them up, and James said it would work fine for them. Scott Carpenter's mentioning that he would prefer to look his up also. So, yeah, doing things county by county would, as far as the county option, that's definitely something that we would actually do if we could do this. It sounds though like we need to kind of maybe CDP brainstorm on this a little bit and then present you guys with some ideas for those who want to do this. John, is this something we want to bring up in our planning sessions and maybe get a better handle of how it would work? And
yeah, just to work out the details.
Right.
But from what I'm hearing, and most definitely we would do it county by county. We're just about any enhancement that we're going to look, unless it's a absolute state required thing, any of these type of features, especially if there's some people that prefer for whatever reason to not do it the way we're suggesting, we're going to make them all county configurable going forward, so each county can turn it on or turn it off. So it sounds like this is doable then. Like Trevor's saying, though, we just need to work out a few of the details with the developers as to how it will work. And then what we'll do is, if it's going to significantly change either the IMS page or the mobile form or something, we'll send out mock-ups first. Otherwise, we can just send out a narrative explaining what's going to happen.
John, this is Stacy. I had stepped away for just a second, and maybe I didn't miss something. I was just questioning Ann and Vera on this whole thing, and we still have a paper list we had to go through that somebody calls and gets the next number in line. I mean, when you pull up your establishments in mobile, you'll see sorted by number, but you're only looking at active establishments, which may not tell you what the next number in the sequence is. If you could at least in the beginning at least get it where I can pull up by establishment type all the numbers, active or inactive, that'll truly tell me what my next number in line is. That may be a start anyway.
Okay.
Because when I pull up establishments, it's sorted alphabetically, or you can sort by establishment number. Like I said, you'll see what your last number was, but again, you may have had a place that closed and went inactive since that last number.
All you have to do, Stacy, is select on the left-hand side of the page. You've got a selection for all, active, or deleted. So if you select all, then you see all the numbers.
Right.
That's what we do.
But maybe just had a separate place you went to just to see that, rather than dig for it. As far as I don't know how to, like, one special place to say, okay, here's where you get your next establishment number or whatever.
Right. That's something that, again, I think that our team should probably discuss, because I'm looking at this where potentially, rather than us go in there and look at every single establishment type, including your local types, Cumberland has types I think it was 27s and 28s that are their local codes. They can add them. They could then, add all this stuff themselves, based on whatever the last number is. Cheryl, to answer your question in the chat box, yes, Bets is set up for five-digit establishment numbers. Once we heard from Mecklenburg that they're going to hit that threshold, we started working with Jackie and the developer Johnny, and so it's ready to go for there. But going back to this point, I think that our team needs to probably look at this and figure out the best way to present it to you guys. For those who want
Is it a frequent enough occurrence where you're out someplace and you may be looking to issue the permit and you would not have either Wi-Fi or some type of cell signal where your mobile is truly just going to be offline the whole time? Does that happen fairly often?
Yes.
Okay. I was pretty much figuring that was going to be the answer, but I thought I'd ask.
Well, John, here's the thing for us. Unfortunately, I'm not out in the field anymore, but for us, my understanding is that it's not. But then again, I mean, we're so densely populated, and that I'm not going to say it's never. I'm sure there are some areas where our EHSs have stopped in and not gotten either Wi-Fi or hotspot, but I'm going to say it's not.
Yeah, I was kind of figuring that it would be, in the more the urban settings, it's not going to be too much of an issue, but there's a lot of rural settings out there as well.
Hey, John, this is Chris in Durham. Believe it or not, we've got like the whole 9th Street area, which is an extremely busy part of Durham, is like a dead zone. So it is a problem in some areas.
Okay. Well, all right, so scratch that. It sounds like if to make this work for everybody, and again, each county would have the ability to say, I just don't want to use it at all. We'll just keep doing things the way we're doing it. But it sounds like we're going to have some changes to the data download that would give you easy access to all the numbers. The only thing is though, so even if we do that, Stacy, what you were getting at, somebody's out in the field and you issue a permit, and especially in some of the larger counties where you have multiple inspectors out at the same time, each one of them has now that downloaded thing and they see the last number.
Right.
There's see, we could still have a conflict between the two people out in the field then.
Right. And I guess, my thing is right now, and then looking at some of the comments are saying, just get our number from the office. I guess kind of a more simple thing for us is rather than Vera having this big long master list that looks like Santa's Christmas list of names on it, is to have either a crystal or splash report that I can just go to that will give me a master listing, which I can look at the bottom of and see what the last number that's being used is, rather than having this paper list that we keep. I guess it's something that simple to begin with, at least a starting point to go and get that number.
That would be one way to do it. What I find faster is, and I have to do this from time to time when I get the requests from the counties that we probably get 1 or 2 of these every month, that we created this establishment, we use this number, but we want to delete it because we want to start over for whatever reason. And that does happen. So what I have to do is, and I don't, just so you guys know, anytime anybody who's asked for one of those, for an establishment to be deleted, I don't truly delete it, physically remove it. What I do is I change the establishment number and the county ID, and so we move it into a deleted establishment holding tank. So just for the slight chance that if somebody ever said, hey, I asked you to delete it and you did, but that was a mistake, can you get that back? If I physically deleted it, the answer would be no. This way we could always go back in and change it. So what I have to do is I got to go look up by establishment type. I search for establishment type under that holding bin, and it gives me those, and then I just sort it by the state ID so that it's descending, and I see the last number used immediately, which to me would be much faster than going in and running a splash report.
Hey, John, let me throw one other thought into this. So there have been times we do have a master establishment list, and our EHSs go in, they look up the last number and they grab it and they print the permit, and then all of a sudden they start to upload and they get an error message saying this establishment number has been used. So there is a built-in, there's built-in logic into CDP that says if the number's already been used, then you can't use it, and then you move on to the next number. Again, I'm not sure how that thought fits into this whole scenario, but the logic is built into CDP that allows the system to reject an establishment number that's already been used.
That's true. The issue would remain, though, that if you have two people out and they both put in the same number, and let's just say neither one of them finished the form right then and there, they both kind of leave it in their queue, and they're going to finish it when they get back to the office. They may have. I mean, I don't know if you if in that case, would you tell them what number they're going to have or something? It's going to be whoever finishes first gets it, unless somebody back in the office goes and creates one through IMS and uses that number. Then they're both going to reject.
John, if you look at what Cheryl and Melissa wrote in the chat box, it looks like it's okay to issue the permit without the ID number on it. So on part of the county configurable option, where if they decide that they wanted to go the route where it's auto-generated, then we would make the ID field where you would put in the establishment ID, we would just make that blank and not required, so that when they did hit finish it, that they could still print out the permit out in the field. Then when they go to finish it, when they have an internet connection, it goes up, and whatever the next one available is there, it issues that one. Whereas if there's a county that does not want to go this route, then we make the ID field on the permit form a required field, so they will always know what they're issuing next.
That would work.
Well, and again, it's all how you want to do business. I mean, we like giving them the number when we do the permit because, when we do that permit and we're sending that up in mobile and you're sending it to BETS, it's what we used to do with an old I-sheet, which was getting it into the system, getting it into BETS so that they can bill,
right?
So that the state can bill them. That way, if that person has a question about billing and they call up to Raleigh, they have an ID number where they can quickly reference what account that they're talking about as far as from a fee standpoint. They're not searching by establishment name that there may be 20 names of the same thing in the state of North Carolina, and saving them a little time if they've got questions in Raleigh. I mean, that's just the way why we like to give them that number.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense too.
Well, I mean, certainly, making it each county's choice to use it or not, I think, those, like I said, those counties that want to continue to do things the way they're currently doing them, that's fine. But Stacy, you would, even if you do it if you keep assigning the numbers yourself, you would be looking for just an easier way to find what that number is, right?
Right, rather than have a paper list, have it where I can go in your system and basically gonna see that. I think it's just a simple report that's looking at active and inactive, deleted or whatever. Because once it's a number, it's a number. We're not reusing it. Even if that place is closed out, we're not pulling that number doesn't come back to life for us. We're just going for the next number in sequence. So as long as we know what that last number was, and it's accounting for active and inactive or deleted establishments and looking at that list, that's good enough for us. Can't speak for everybody else.
Now, are you talking about mobile access when you're out in the field to have that available, or?
No, not necessarily. I mean, an IMS is fine. Like I said, it can be over in the reporting function to simply go over and see master list, and it's just basically polling active and inactive establishments to see what the next number would be on the list.
Trevor,
seeing that list that Vera keeps on paper.
We could probably create a query in IMS that just goes out and lists by establishment type, just each of the last numbers used.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Why
So
don't
Trevor,
we do that?
Trevor, for Cumberland, we have a system that auto-populates our numbers. So we don't have a paper copy. We just go put it in the system and it auto-populates the number for us. So that's what we were looking for in Cumberland, to see if that's something that CDP does. They automatically, so the number will never be duplicated unless it's a different, like a 27 or a 42 or 01 or 02. That those last four could be the same. So numbers never get duplicated. So we were just asking, is there a way that CDP can auto-populate the numbers for us? We put it in and it automatically populates the number for us.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to set up.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because
Yeah.
I don't know what other counties do, but we have a system that auto-populates. It's just that our old system
Sure.
is it's not compatible anymore with the new Microsoft 10. I think that's what they're saying. So we're just trying to get to a newer system. That's all. But it already auto-populates the numbers for us.
Yeah, that's what we're going to set up. We're just going to give it, every county the option to use that feature or not. For those that don't, if they want to manually look it up, we're just going to add a function to IMS that will query and just list out every establishment type and the last number that currently is in the system, regardless of status.
Yeah, and John, I think we could actually potentially take that type of a report and push that down on mobile for the day, so to speak.
You got to be careful with that though, because
It's still that,
you
yeah.
do that today, and then you got multiple people out there using numbers. They may have a tendency to want to use them. I don't know if I would go so far as to change mobile for that.
All right.
I think that might cause more problems than it's going to solve. Maybe let's do the other parts first. See if this kind of helps everybody, gives everybody what they need for now, and then if we want to enhance on that later, maybe bringing something down to mobile, then then we can talk about that again.
Yeah, I can see that. For those of you guys who actually go out in the field and issue, like, you had that, what I used to remember, it was called like a book of the last numbers or whatever, the next available numbers. If you're going to do this on paper, forget mobile or anything like that. How was it done before? I mean, how would you keep people from doing exactly what we've been talking about? Or are there situations in the old days where you do have duplicate numbers for different establishments? Something to think about.
No, I mean that's why we keep a master list, and Veer's the keeper of the master list. If you want a number, you got to go to Veer. So
Gotcha.
that's just the way we do it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll discuss all these pieces internally and maybe present some mock-ups or present it to you guys at the next change control board. I've got an asterisk right here for it. Feel free to send me any kind of feedback or suggestions on this if you think about it, and we'll add to it. All right.
Hey, Trevor.
Yeah.
Trevor, this is Mark. We got in here late. Did you have something to share on report 47, an update on that?
I was going to ask you if you had been in contact with Tim. I thought I saw you and Tim on some emails regarding this, and I was just wanting to see what the update was for that.
I haven't gotten any updates since I sent the example reports.
Okay, I will get with him then. There's been several emails going back and forth between you and other people, and I seem to be copied on them. I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, okay.
I'll have something for you today on that then.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Hey, Trevor, on that report, I know the last thing that we talked about with Tim, and I don't know, Mark, he may have contacted you since we talked to him about it, but the issue with that report is always going to be that if, for establishments where the risk category changes during the course of the year, how to handle those situations. So like Trevor said, we'll get with Tim, we'll find out where he left off with that. and then Trevor, maybe you can just give Mark an update after that. But we may end up having to. I thought the last time we talked to Tim, Trevor, I thought we were thinking that we were going to need a call to talk specifically about that report.
Okay. Once he gets in, I'll ask him about that stuff. So, Mark, are you available today? If I can get a hold of Tim and for a quick meeting if he has questions.
Until about 2:15, I'll be around.
Okay. Okay. So as far as Cumberland County's local establishment types, I see a message to me. We did groom that yesterday and discussed it, and I believe everything looks good. So that's on our. We have a work item to get that stuff in there for you guys. Okay. All right. So that was the last item that we had on the agenda. Does anyone have anything else you guys want to bring up?
Trevor, Stacy, I got two for you.
Sure.
What is the update on the app printing issue? Was my first one.
What's your second one?
The second one is a very minor one, and if it can't get changed, it's fine. It's just something someone had brought to my attention in here, and it's just an extra click, which is not a big deal. But most all the forms that we have, when you slash through establishment in mobile, it brings them up in alphabetical order,
right?
To choose an establishment. But the product disposition form doesn't default to that. It on our end, it defaults to is in order by establishment number. If we could just get the product disposition form to default to alphabetical, I mean, again, that's not a huge deal, but it's just the one form that's different from the rest as far as how it defaults.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get you an update on that one. The printing part of that. I don't know where we left.
Yeah, whole printing in the new app that's not fitting the page.
John, can you message Tom to see if he has an update on that? I haven't heard anything from that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll ask him now.
All right. Well, while John's doing that, someone had something else I heard.
Yeah, it's me, John. My name is Orlando. I'm sorry, Trevor.
That's okay.
The QA portion of the actual CDP internet. When will we get a class on it, or was there a class recently? I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm the QA officer for the actual county.
Okay.
And I want to know how to enter in my QA reports when I finish up with an inspector.
Okay, so we have a document, PDF document that kind of steps you through how to use that pretty much at this point. We were going to put a class out there, basically a little webinar, maybe a 30-minute webinar at some point. We put that off because there seemed to have been other pieces that were going to go into the QA module. As we talked before, the work item that I'm taking off, number 3, the SLAT, we were told that some of the information from here would go into that QA module. And then there were other changes that Mecklenburg had identified that needed to change also. So we are currently making those changes in this release, and scheduled to be released at February 28th. So once all of those things are done, we can look into having a quick webinar on, and run everybody through how it's supposed to work, if that's okay.
Great, thank you.
And in the meantime, I can have customer support forward you a copy of the PDF to get you guys started. Orlando, you said you were in Cumberland?
That's correct.
All right. All right.
Hey, Trevor.
Yep.
All right, so Tom got back to me. He said the printing changes that he made, he has pushed those over to QA.
Okay.
So at the latest, by the end of this release, we should have those issues resolved.
Okay.
He's changed all the forms. He just needs a QA done on each one of them.
All right. So that was food and lodging. So there you go, Stacy.
Yeah, just let us know when it's ready for Vera to test in the field again and see if it's working for her.
Okay.
Well, it'll definitely be by March 1st, Stacy.
Okay.
If it's sooner than that, though, we'll send out a broadcast email, let everybody know.
That's fine. Like I said, that's just really our only hold after she took it out the first test drive. Again, we're letting her be the guinea pig before we introduce it to the rest of the staff, letting her work out all the kinks.
Aside from the printing issues she had, is she giving you any feedback on?
No, I mean everything else. I mean seemed fine. That was thing to hold. I think that kind of stopped her from continuing to use it to find if she's got any other issues, because the printing issue just kind of stopped her in her tracks the way that thing's printing out.
Okay.
I think someone over in your comments in your chat also said something about it needs to allow you to pick which pages to print. I think James Pretty's got something over in your comments on that.
This is Megan Rockingham. We've tested it a lot out in the field, a lot of the different forms. We're having issues that when we do the food inspection form, when it uploads and goes to our public website and on IMS, it's missing the whole grid lines. It's just a form with X's.
Meg, can you
and it does show the comments on the third page. Huh?
Yeah, we looked at some of that last time, Trevor. Remember we viewed some of those and what they look like, and we saw the X's on a page.
I'm drawing a blank on that one.
I think we actually, somebody, I don't know if it's last call or call before, had shown you guys what those prints were looking like, where you'd have like X's on a whole separate page and stuff, kind of like what Meg's talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, from what I understand.
We still have one active on our website right now. We sent in a help desk ticket and we've not gotten any response. They fixed one and told us it wouldn't be an issue anymore, and we did another one, and that one's currently on our website and on IMS. So we've stopped using the food form because that one has not been corrected.
Do you have a ticket number handy by any chance?
Let me go back to email.
If you can forward that to me, I'll get that expedited today.
Right.
Now, again, Trevor, I know beating a dead horse, but that's like I said, that's just our major thing right now is these print issues. If we get that, we can roll with it and give you more feedback, definitely. Once we get past.
We've sent a whole list, and we haven't gotten any feedback. We were told that it would be added to a list, and at some determined time, it would be determined if any of those would be addressed, was the response we got.
If you want to send me that response, if you have it, I'd like to review
that particular response, because
yeah.
that came from Melody Woods.
Yeah, if you would forward that to me. John and I will go through it and look to see what pieces are going to be in it. All right, looks like I just got that from you.
That was that ticket number. I'm trying to find the email that I just referred to. So I'm forwarding this one to you as well.
Okay. I will dig into those today and get some resolutions for you.
Okay, because we've tried it on pretty much all of the establishment forms. There's maybe a few like pools. We haven't used it yet.
Okay.
And was sending a list of the things we were seeing, but we've kind of stopped using it because we haven't gotten any feedback on the issues that we have sent in.
Okay. All right. That being said, anything else you guys want to bring up? All right. Sounds like we've discussed all the good stuff today already. All right. So I'm just going to recap. I've got a list of things here that I'm going to add to our planning agenda so that we can discuss, basically the auto creation of the establishment numbers. I'm going to look into the emails or the e-tools that are unresolved at this point, and send you guys an agenda since I forgot to send that yesterday. And I will write this stuff up and get back to you with what we find out about the printing once that's in the QA. All right. Appreciate your time today, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. Thanks, John.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
guys. Have a great day.